This has happened before and it's happening again. And in fact, we've covered this before on presidential election days. Video has caught an electronic voting machine switching votes. And we now have at least three reports of this happening in at least two different Mississippi counties based on the latest information. And this could still change. This was the Republican gubernatorial primary runoff. We have one video of it for you posted to Facebook by Sally Kate Walker, which shows a man attempting to vote for Bill Waller and the machine selecting instead Tate Reeves multiple times as the person taps the screen. So a few things here. This particular video is from the Burgess voting precinct in Oxford, and the same machines that are in use there are in use in lots of the state of Mississippi. The Secretary of State's office has put out a statement saying they're aware of the issue and they dispatched a technician as soon as they were told about it. This was a TSX machine. It's owned by the county. It was tested by local officials. Two machines in Calhoun County have reportedly shown similar vote switching behavior. So, okay, this is a Republican gubernatorial primary runoff. They're fixing it. What happens if this takes place on presidential election day in November of 2020, when turnout is higher, when the stakes are, yes, they are higher, even though, of course, we want every election to be secure, when one precinct or a group of precincts could conceivably turn a state and one state could conceivably decide the presidential election? What do you do? Now, as of right now, there's no reason to think that this is foul play. This is most likely the screen being miscalibrated. So when you tap on a part of the screen, it's interpreted as you tapping on a different part of the screen. It's simple enough, but it's potentially 110% chaotic on election day. If one wanted to manipulate an election, you only need to interfere with some portion of the machines and some portion of precincts in just one or two states, and you can hypothetically turn the results of a presidential election. And this is where the left and right are truly different. I talk so many times on the show about there's lots of areas where left and right are basically the same, perpetuating the status quo. There are other areas where Democrats and Republicans are very different when it comes to sexual harassment by people within their party. Democrats and Republicans are very different. When it comes to net neutrality, Democrats and Republicans are very differently. Republicans have made it clear for more than a decade now, they are simply not super concerned with election interference, election tampering, voter suppression, etc., as long as their candidate wins. And they understand that a lot of this stuff helps the Republican over the Democrat, helps the more conservative Republican over the more moderate Republican within Republican primaries. But in principle, they don't care as long as they benefit from it in some way, shape, or form. The left, on the other hand, we just want 100% secure elections. We want everyone who wants to vote and attempts to vote to have their vote counted. And the reality is, of course, that the left benefits from greater turnout and more votes being counted because the country has moved to the left. There's no, the right will say, well, you guys just want more people to vote because it helps you. That's right. I want the highest level of participation in the system that we have, with the understanding that the will of the people will be most accurately reflected when as many people as possible actually go out and vote. When the right hears about this stuff, they say, well, both sides do it, even when it's not totally clear that something is actually being done. And when you zoom out, it is far more red states that have the electronic voting machines with no paper trail, which if one wanted to tamper with an election through the voting machines that have no paper trail, it would be a really great place to start. So this is, again, just another one of the many anecdotes of this taking place. It's not presidential election day, but we all understand the risk here, or at least we should understand the risk here. What's the next step with these particular voting machines? I don't know, but these types of voting machines are in use in a lot of the United States.